I am sinew and flame, gristle and pulp, fissure and mass. I am something tawdry and hard, fleshy and cut. I am Marcus Aurelius, Muhammad and Bonaparte. I am Black Jesus and Godbody, Jah and Siddhartha, Moses and Aaron, Peter, Mary and Judas. I am the womb, the seed, the river raging wild. I am the black bear, the eagle, the wolf, the dove, the sheep, the lion, liar, prophet, sinner, saint, bank robbing politician, mind-numbing television anchorman, backstabbing, side hustling, hooker, hoe, pimp, John, trick in the night, dark alley beatdown. I am Prometheus, Job, Stalin and Herzl, night robbing visionary, snow drifting, castaway cannibal. I am sun-drenched and life quenched. I am tired and fighting, alive till I'm dead. I am Che Guevara. I am multitudes hurtling towards the abyss of acceptance. I am a street fighter holding court on the avenue. I am all or nothing. I am the whisper of mountaintop penance word. Discovered poetry probably 11, 12 years old. There was a cat named E.E. Cummings, no capitals in his name. His poetry didn't rhyme, and there was no punctuation that made any kind of sense. Complete opposite use of English language, especially the rules. From there I was hooked.
Got a special guest for you, Avi Shalem. Nice to have you here, Avi.
Thank you, Willie.
And we're going to do something a little bit different, change of pace, and show them what you can do, Avi.
My name is Avi Deano Shalem. I was born, raised, and still live amongst ghosts. Avi Noam, it means my dear father, my sweet father. My father named that for his father, my grandpa, who was murdered in the Shoah, the Holocaust. My old man had 7 brothers and sisters, and both his parents murdered in the Holocaust. When I say I was surrounded by ghosts, not your Casper the Friendly Ghost type of ghost, I was surrounded by those who didn't make it next to my father. He escaped from the concentration camp, fought his way through the snows of Europe, made it to our country, fought in the first 2 wars. He changed our last name from the European to Hebrew, to Shalem. When he was in the Israeli army, my old man, he was a paratrooper. They used to pick off the paratroopers with perfect heart shots. So my old man, he had 3 symmetric bullet holes, perfectly right there, bam, bam, bam. I just used to rub him while he used to tell me the tales of death, of survival, of fighting, of torture, of Jewishness. Through those bullet holes, I used to hear the clatter of gunfire. I used to smell the smoke. He worked all the time. He used to make it home when it was just bedtime for me. And he'd sit next to me on the bed. I didn't get Goldilocks and the 3 Bears for my nighttime go to sleep stories. What I got was never again, always remember, never forget. That I needed to be ever vigilant. I needed to watch. My auntie, she was my #1 ghost. She was murdered. I've got the one picture of her. I hardly ever can look at it. There were 2 lines in the concentration camp. The one line to the left was those who they were going to work to death, who were healthy enough, useful enough to be worked to death. Like my old man, he's about 16 at the time, so he's on the gonna be worked to death line with his sister. A few feet away is their mom's, but she's on the straight to the gas chamber shower line. Everyone's naked, everyone's, head is shaved off, so parents and children, they're naked on this line. People wasn't really knowing it was a gas chamber shower on those lines because they'd spent days, if not weeks, in cattle cars being shipped from all over Europe to these concentration camps. So my auntie sees her mom, normal reaction, mommy, mommy, mommy. So she leaves my dad, the Nazi prison guard sees her, said, mommy, 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 okay, you go with your mother. So She did, and my father watched them march to a cyanide shower. Sometimes they scream at me. Mostly I just feel the energy and I see like the open mouths and they're telling me be vigilant, be watchful, never forget. My name is Shalem. It means whole or full family. That was a statement as to his stubbornness in that which he had lost, 7 brothers and sisters, both his parents, he was going to rebuild a whole or full family. We refused to be eradicated. I'm the only boy, 4 sisters, so I keep the family name going. That's my legacy.
You are writing in what I consider to be typically American road poetry, like Whitman, Kerouac.
I was already a different kid. I was a good kid, decent looking, smart enough kid from a good home. I was not a bully, I was a protector, but the difference was there was an edge to me that parents who had children to be good Jewish doctors and lawyers in training, they saw something that I was not going to be, even before I knew what any of that meant. And even while I guess my parents were still hoping, that I would find myself and take that traditional path, but other parents saw that that wasn't where I was going. Keith was my childhood friend from freshman year in high school.
We were originally planning to go to Europe. Couldn't come up with the money. Actually, it was preempted by something else.
Him and I had gotten in some trouble with the Forest Hills police precinct, and it was an option of either our parents finding out or B, the road, freedom, getting out of my box. We took a Greyhound to San Francisco, and Jack Kerouac was the direct inspiration for that, man. I still thought I was going to Bebop City, the Jazz City, you feel me? Kerouac used to get on a typewriter, get frustrated, hurl his typewriters out onto the cliffs for Big Sur. So I needed to find that place, Big Sur. So me and Keith left San Francisco. We hitchhiked, and we decided that we have to retrace Kerouac's steps and end up at those cliffs underneath where he used to hurl that typewriter.
We're sitting hanging out with this guy. One guy's a Vietnam vet. We stayed up all night with the cat. And he goes, if you want to feel the ghost of Big Sur Pass in the middle of the night when it's the darkest, with your bare feet and stand in the cold creek, and you will feel the ghost of past. Man, that scared the shit out of me. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to do that. I could think I see those ghosts now.
It's complete nature. The 2 kids from Queens. It gets really quiet, really dark, just the stars. All of a sudden, there's an opening, there's a clearing. It's just a wide open with those big craggy rocks, and all of a sudden you see that jagged cliff. It's standing up there and you see the cabin up above it. And it's just the Pacific Ocean. We climbed that cliff from the bottom up. We made it to the top. There's this much space, there's the step maybe, and you're over the Pacific Ocean and you're not gonna make it if you hit. And it's just, and boom, boom, the water's hitting, the water spraying, off of those rocks. And it's just the stars, okay? And we got our arms around each other because it's cold, so huddled right there, man. Right there was maybe my only spiritual moment.
We felt so tiny and small with all this universe around us, stars and everything. Man, it was something else.
From the distance, there was a humpback in the middle of the ocean right there. We saw a humpback, and that began my fascination with them fellas. And I've got Big Sur, was like my 2nd or 3rd tattoo. It's, easily 30 years old on my back.
At 15, Mr. Shalem began to travel through the back roads, the dusty farms, and the dark underbelly of America with his ear to the street. You are a road poet or a road writer, road runner, and these songs are about America today.
ambassador was just, it was my first exciting little home. People from everywhere. He didn't know people's official names or stuff. It was Detroit and St. Louis, and I was New York. There were a bunch of New Yorks, you know? We was a community, man, of ne'er-do-wells and others and outsiders. I had a partner, Greg from Detroit. Greg had certain habits. I believe he was a heroin addict. I'm in my room 612, just chilling. There was a bar right around the corner from the ambassador. Greg went in there. There was a guy that had his wallet on top of the bar. Greg grabbed it. It's the hood. So there's an armed security guard, gun, everything in the bar. Security guard starts taking after Greg. Greg was fast, so had nice lead. There happened to have been a uniformed cop somewhere up the block, so he joined the chase. So Greg runs in, bangs on my door. I open the door up, pushes past me. It had wide ledges, much wider than this. He opens the window. I don't know what's going on. Opens the window and climbs out the damn window. And so he's hanging on the outside because he's sure that the police is gonna barge in and then they won't see him and they'll go on. And I saw you falling in the blue light, reaching. Your fingers stretched like cords. I tried but could not hold on. I was 125 pounds of sheer fissure, and man, I could not hold on. I'm confused, and then a second later I hear, "Help me, New York, help me, I'm slipping." Like I say, I was 125 pounds of sheer fissure, and I could not hold on, okay? "Help me, New York, help me, I'm slipping." And so I go, and I put my arm out to grab him, and right then, I could not make out your face as you fell, only the sickening thud of your neck twisting on pavement. Or I stole one more look out the window, room 612, the Ambassador Hotel, saw you lying in spread eagle and ran, man. I ran much like you fell, hips flailing, arms waving, head bobbing, my mind trembling. It was not till 3 days later that Karina found me lying huddled in some piss-stained tenderloin alley and led me back by the hand. By then, you know, the heat had subsided. It always does for us. I heard they flew you back to Detroit. I heard they gave you your propers. I heard drag queen Kim was looking for me through the space in my veins. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I see your reflection in my palms, feel my biceps, know that I could kill a man or save a man. Greg, why'd you go and do that? Come to my room and climb the ledge. Greg, or I could hold you now. My arms are strong.
That was hard as railroad steel, brother.
I used to wake up like this. It's the bottom line, man. He fell down 6 floors, ended up spread-eagled in the alley. I just bugged out, man. Turns out he didn't need to do all that because the cops had, ended the chase. He had to lead up them, and they wasn't running up 6 flights. So it was for nothing, I didn't know it, and I went and I just walked around the streets for 3 days, like mad at myself, Why couldn't I grab them? My ghosts, they look out for me. My ghosts, I'm not gonna say they're my friends, but they're my watchers. They are my comrades.
Avi and I go back over 10 years now. Avi is a very passionate and he's a creative person and he's very expressive. He's kind of a veteran of the streets of New York, and he understands what it's like to be the target of law enforcement.
I've beaten a kidnapping and 3 armed robberies. The kidnapping and 2 of the armed robberies were thrown out.
He was charged with a robbery and use of a firearm. So he had a 15-year max on a violent felony.
It was a grueling trial. I knew I needed to testify. I'd convinced Nick that I was going to be good on the stand.
Midway through cross-examination, the prosecutor essentially gave up and sat down.
Everything he tried to toss at me, I tossed back at him vociferously. I killed him with his own language.
We were able to get him a not guilty verdict. He has also done advocacy for the interaction with law enforcement and the community. He's a creative person, he's a street poet, and I appreciate his street level verses as well as his passion for pursuing his art.
Our dream was to get married in Big Sur, but that didn't work out. So we got married on the beach here November 19th, 2006. It was very beautiful at sunset. It was a lot sunnier. I want to see him succeed. I want to see his art out there. I think that will make him complete and happy.
My best friend Gustavo Vitorera got signed by Sony, young, out of high school. They encouraged me. I didn't think they were serious to take my rather, obscure, no rules prose and to turn it into songs. I hated poetry readings. I hated that whole scene. I was bored. I hated most poetry. As far as the music is concerned, I didn't change the delivery. I had learned my delivery style from Lou Reed, from David Bowie, from George Clinton, P-Funk. I tried to take a David Bowie method. I convey myself with little mannerisms. All these years later, I think musically. I don't think prosaically anymore. I think musically now. Because all my life since I was young, words would jumble up in my head, and I have to grab a pen and start writing. Now I hear lyrics. I've never thought about what I'm going to write about. The subject matter just comes from within. Maybe my words can touch someone. Maybe my words can do what Kerouac and Jim Carroll and Lou Reed and David Bowie and Marvin Gaye did for me. That's what I'd like to think, that as an artist, I can be brave like that. I can be that one. Like or dislike my words, relate or don't relate, but y'all ain't ever gonna say that Avi Deano Shalem, Isaac Shalem's son, was anything besides the real one.
The old soldier went on. Freezing, he walked his way through the snows of Europe, wearing 2 left shoes. What he ate, where he slept, he never said. However, his eyes spoke volumes. A new word entered the psyche of the displaced Jew, Zion, a mythical homeland, barren and calling. With this word, this ideology, came something far more powerful, hope and dreams. For displaced people with the ashes of sisters and brothers still seared in their mind, hope brought fortitude. They would cause flowers to bloom in the empty desert. They would bring light to the abyss. The old soldier saw many friends die on the perilous journey to Palestine. It was yet another test onto the will of the people. There were more seemingly endless wars to be fought, more breastfeeding and tears. However, helplessness was replaced with belief. No longer would a young boy watch his parents, brothers, and sisters die anonymous and unpunished. The old soldier went on to marry and raise children. Eventually, driven to ensure that his children would never know lack, he moved his family to the new promised land, America. However, a piece of our soul remained. We often went back to Israel as if to nurture this missing piece. Ours was a complex relationship. After all he had endured, my religious indifference wounded him, yet he took pleasure in my philosophical ability to question. At times, unable to help him grasp the nuances of baseball, or wishing he would talk without his thick European accent, I resented him. Inherently, I always took pride in him. I knew him to be tough, a survivor, and not unlike that most American of icons, John Wayne, a man's man. Words were never a comfortable part of our relationship. As a young boy, I remember looking forward to those special nights when he would put me to sleep. Rather than the prerequisite bedtime story, he would tell me tales of his boyhood, a task I knew to be painful, considering his loss. His remembrances concerning his escape from occupied Europe would enthrall me. I would stroke the bullet holes on his arm and try to imagine the clatter of gunfire and screams. I would picture myself in his shoes. Would I have survived? The years rolled on, and the old soldier withdrew further and further into silence. I never begrudged him his silence. He'd witnessed the horrors of hell on earth. How then could spoken words compensate? Once in the Holy Land, we took a trip, just the two of us. We mapped out the Northland and drove. We passed burnt-out tanks left in their tracks. We walked the ruins of Christ's first temple and bathed in the waters of Abraham. I stroked the smooth whiteness of rocks thousands of years old. He talked to me then, talked of friends and philosophy, talked of battles and psalms. He was my father, and I was proud. When the cancer came, I told him. Alone in our room, our eyes locked. My eyes misted. His never wavered. He hugged and comforted me. He told me he would fight. It was classic, a soldier to the end. He spent his last months on his hammock, trees gently swaying above him. I would discreetly watch him pull up off. He had never known peace, yet surely he had mastered dignity. Thanks.
I have one question of that
Sure.
powerful evocation of your father's spirit. What does your name mean again?
It's a pretty time in a pretty world full of ugly girls. Yeah, ugly girls. It's perfect.
This goes out to my daughter, my everything, Zoe Zahara. This goes out to my baby mama, Kendra. When you're mean, but when you're nice, girl, you so nice, I gained you twice. It's a perfect time in a perfect place. This goes out to my four sisters, Shalem, whole, full family. It's an ugly time in an ugly place. To the Gear Gang, respect given, Triple OG Gino, Warrior King Moon. We got six popping, we got ops dropping. It's an ugly time in an ugly place. It's an ugly girl with a pretty face. It's perfect, perfect, I'll tell you. Gustavo and Jennifer Vicarera, Yair Friedman, Sasha Simone, Danny Strings Torres. Love y'all. That's the one.